Hello. I'm currently live on Twitch, and I've just finished playing 10 games on BA Utnapishtim's ship, which is one of the 4 new Blue Archive ships. And if you watched my previous one on the other BA ship, the name of which I've immediately forgotten, this one is like that in that there's an underlying ship. In this case, it's called Le Havre. But the underlying ship is still under NDA. So everything I'm about to say about this ship, BA Utnapishtim's ship, does not currently apply to the underlying ship, despite the fact that the underlying ship is completely identical in every way and will probably be released as such. However, when Le Havre comes out, you could come back to this, and the information should still apply. Unless it's had any balance changes. Because the two are linked. In the UI, they're linked, so I have no reason to think that the builds will separate in any way. So, my thoughts on BA Utnapishtim's ship, which conveniently will also apply to Le Havre in the future. So this is a Brest type ship, modeled after Dunkirk class. So it's business in the front, party in the back, as most French ships like this are. So you have the main guns, 330s on the front, and then you have the secondaries mostly on the back. There are 2 turrets here that can shoot forwards, but only two barrels each. So most of the secondary business goes on in the back. You can shoot up to 10 barrels sideways. But basically you're talking about the secondaries being mostly in the rear arc, which can be a little bit inconvenient in some places if you're trying to charge something down or chase something. Obviously, the chasing part means you have to be nose towards them, and that makes it difficult to get the secondaries on. And that can be a challenge because this ship has an activatable secondary boost on the F key. So when you press that, you kind of have to make sure that you are angled at least like that to the target, so that you get the most out of the secondaries, because there's no point in activating it while they can only see these 2 here, because there's just not much BPM going on. So I did pretty well in this. So it was 7-3 of 10 games. I think in almost all of these games we were up at near 100 or over 100, so it's performing pretty well. Apart from that one where I just died. That was my fault, because chat was making me talk about badges. And I really like it. This is a really fun ship. I wasn't expecting to like it, but it works. The secondary buff, when it's active, so you charge it by getting 10 main battery hits within 50 seconds, which sounds easy, but you've only got 8 barrels and a 30-second base reload, so that it can be a little bit challenging to get that charged, especially if you're shooting something small, or if it's at the end of your range. Can be a little bit tricky with the dispersion to sometimes get those shells on if you're unlucky. If you're close to something, it's pretty easy. When you activate that, it lasts for 50 seconds, which is quite a nice time, and it considerably reduces the reload time of the secondaries. It considerably reduces the dispersion, really tightens it up, making it super dangerous for destroyers. And also increases the pen up to just over 32, which has obvious benefits. And the fire chance on these is also really high. So you'll be sending a lot of fires. So you don't have sap secondaries, but you do have good fire chance. When this isn't active, your pen is a bit lower, obviously, so it's down more in the cruiser range. So you've got pen of 23. So very light cruiser range. But the F key is reasonably easy to charge, and so because it's one of those like charge and then save it until you need it kind of things, you can work at range, charge it up, and then push in and then use it. And then if you're in a brawl, once it goes down, it's pretty easy to recharge it. This is a very fast ship. The base concealment can go down to 11.9, which is about the same as the secondary range max of 12. And that combination of pretty good concealment plus good speed plus the secondary range being about the same, it's pretty powerful. Caught out quite a few people. There was a destroyer that just didn't realize how fast I was, and I just chased it down. There was another destroyer that decided to rush me around an island from the back. Not a good plan. That didn't last very long. I think the first volley of the secondaries did 6,500 damage with the F key enabled, so they didn't last very long. You get the Hydro to do the pushing with, which is really useful, especially in that circumstance of there being a destroyer. The main guns are not particularly accurate, but they're 330s, so they have good punch. So they can, at closer ranges, they can definitely Citadel battleships. They're really, really dangerous for the heavier cruisers. Lighter cruisers, you're probably still going to overpen unless they're angled. Quite nice. And then the HE has a really good fire chance, 37. So battleship kind of fire chance, so if you need to burn something, you can. The armor scheme is 25 nose and stern, typical battle cruiser, so you need to be careful you don't get punched in the face. However, you do have a decent belt. So, what I was doing, which is something I do in a lot of French cruisers, is use your speed. If you think something's going to shoot you with AP that can overmatch your nose, present a pretty wide target, and then as they shoot, you turn heavily in, and you catch the shells, because you'll drift sideways, and the shells that were going to hit you, like here, end up hitting you on the belt or beside you, because you can drift your tail out of the way. And so that's a really useful technique if you're charging at something. Had quite a few people do that. So because you need to, in order to stop people citadeling you through the nose, you need to present a bit more angle than you're comfortable with. But then you have that, if you're going full speed, you have that ability to just slam the rudder over and make them miss. Don't think there's anything else really. You pretty much get what you expect with this ship. Those are the upgrades I'm running. This is the captain build that I'm running, which is just the Wargaming recommended captain build. I think that's it. It's good. I like it. It works. You have to be, obviously, with the 25mm armor scheme, you have to be a little bit careful. It does have a decent health pool. So that's good for the pushing when you need to do it. It also gets a decent heal. So it's a slightly better than normal heal. So it works. So this, I recommend if you get hold of this. But then also when Le Havre comes out, which is exactly the same ship in theory, when the NDA is lifted and it is revealed that it is the same ship, then this opinion will also apply to that in theory, but I'm not reviewing it right now because it's still under NDA. I didn't make the situation up. I just work here. Except I don't. So, yeah. That's the review of B.A. Utnapishtim's ship. So I do recommend it, and it is a lot of fun. Come and find me on Twitch.